From frump to fox, how dressing up is showing up. Looking sharp and feeling great is within your reach. No matter your age, size, or budget, you can learn to dress for success. In this video, Susan Salter, image consultant and personal stylist, goes over 4 tips on making small changes in your wardrobe that will significantly change your overall attitude and self-confidence. Learn how dressing up is a metaphor for showing up in your life. Looking for a way to step up your game in work and in life? Watch now for simple ways to pull together no matter what you wear. I'm so excited to bring you Susan Salter today. And make sure you let others know about the Wellness Driven Life Show. Make sure that you subscribe and get notifications of when we have our upcoming guests. Share that we have great content. And so I want to welcome you all on the Wellness Driven Live. You've heard it before, but it's so true. How you present yourself without saying a single word establishes to others who you are at first sight. First impressions matter. Susan Salter helps success leaders and entrepreneurs juggle every aspect of their busy lives to be better positioned for success. She's a connector. She's built a network of high-end designers and luxury brands to call upon to service her clients quickly. Susan's clients continually see results in their bottom line. She's got unique gifts of seeing what you might not see yourself. Things holding you back from stepping up into your next level of success. Whether it's wearing the right power outfit for your body shape and coloring, or upgrading your accessories so you can upgrade your clientele. Please help me welcome Susan Salter. Hi, Susan.
Hello, April. How are you?
I'm great. It's so wonderful to have you on the show. You are so talented and gifted. I remember how much you have encouraged me and helped me during a time where I was like, I don't know how to show up. And you were right there holding my hand, and it was wonderful. So could you share with the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. And I remember that time very well. It was very fun. So I am the founder of Lifestyle by Susan. We are a lifestyle brand. And what that means is I really take care of the whole person. I am a certified life and style coach. I was former corporate. I was in the retail banking world for over 30 years. I was, when I retired about 4 years ago, I was a senior director. So I've been around professional people all my life, and I've seen the impact of how you present yourself and what that means when it comes to first impressions, mobility, how you can move up the ladder in your career, et cetera. And now as an entrepreneur, I see that I am a business owner, and I see in my clients who are business owners how important it is to be your brand. And that comes with how you appear physically to your clients.
Yes, I agree with that. And I know that we've talked a little bit about, how we show up, and I know that through your experiences you had some battles with how you show up with your thoughts and emotions,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so could you tell us a little bit about How do you manage your thoughts and emotions during challenging times?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that really is where it begins, right? The one thing that you can do when it comes to managing thoughts and emotions, and is something that I've learned, and it's a tool that you never stop using. You have to use it all the time. So we have a very primal brain, which is that fight or flight, which is
Mm,
that
mhm.
brain that wants to keep you safe. That's where those negative thoughts will come in. And I don't care how confident you are, I don't care how much you strengthen that muscle, those negative thoughts are going to come in. It's just going to happen. It's how we're built. There's nothing we can really do about it coming in. Now, what we do with those thoughts once they enter our brain, that's where we can make the changes. And that's what makes all the difference. So, what I recommend, what I do myself, and I recommend to my clients, is doing a thought download. So, every recommended because you're kind of fresh, you're getting ready to start your day, you want to start the day off on a good foot, right? So, what I do is, feed the cat because if he's not fed, the day will go, the day just goes downhill from there. So,
Oh, yeah, well, if he's anything like mine, he will let you know, and you can't even
oh,
have your
yeah.
coffee.
Yeah, there is no peace until the cat is fed.
Right.
So the
Yes.
cat gets fed, and then, I just make myself a cup of coffee. I sit, I, make sure that I'm in a quiet space where I can kind of think and there's no distractions, and I just get out my journal and I just start writing down exactly what I'm thinking, the good, the bad, the ugly. Don't hold back, don't sugarcoat it, just write
Mhm.
exactly what you're thinking because only you are going to see this list.
Yeah.
And then reflect back on that list. And if you see anything negative there or anything that's, I'm not really feeling confident today, or I don't really feel I have, all these things to do today, and I just don't have a lot of energy, and I'm not confident or comfortable with how I'm going to show up. All of that stuff. What I recommend is then you go back to that list and anything that is, more on the negative side or the limiting belief side, because that's
Mhm.
basically what it is. It's a limiting belief. Um, Ask yourself, is that ultimately true? And 99.9% of the time, it's not going to be true. So it's
Mhm.
almost having like a reflection back
Mm.
at what you've put down on paper, and you're basically saying to yourself, "Is that really true? If I really thought about this, do I really feel that way?" And then what I do is I turn it around and I change it into something positive, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna, take the day by storm. I'm going to show up and I'm gonna be my best. All of those kinds of motivating things that you can do for yourself. And it's this little conversation back and forth you're having with yourself, but again, these thoughts are in your mind, so they're your thoughts. So you work through them, turn them around, and it just gives you that little motivation to get you through the day.
I love that, and what I really enjoy is how real you are about well, feeding the cat, first off, because, first things first, right? The distractions in life and what is done, and I can relate that to that with my cat. But really, it's just I love how authentically you can show up in that and really just dumping out mentally, like the mind dump or the morning writings that it's all of it. It's everything that comes into your mind, good or bad, but write it all down and
Mhm.
reflecting on that. That's a really powerful tip. I appreciate that. And
Yeah,
moving,
exactly, and one more thing I'll show you. On
yeah.
my computer, and I don't know if this is gonna be backwards, but it says, "I am in demand. People are lined up to work with me." So I have
Oh,
these little
powerful.
notes, and I have one in the bathroom on my mirror in the bathroom, and little things like that just throughout the day. So I have my morning routine with my thought download, but then I'm at my computer for the most part of the day. I'm in the bathroom a lot, getting ready, whatever. I have these little post-it notes to remind me throughout the day.
Mm. That is really good advice. I've known a lot of people who are excelling greatly, and same thing, they have a ton of posted notes all over the place, just those positive reminders because our minds are constantly going. It's just like when you do the brain dump, it's both positive and negative because our thoughts are going so fast that you're getting
Mm,
everything, and we are constantly having discussions with ourselves. So
right.
super great. Can you tell me a little bit what I want to know your story, Susan, about what made you shift to really start putting in this work to become an entrepreneur yourself? I know you come from the corporate scene, and
Mhm.
so I know that personally, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about what was it?
Yeah, sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, I was in corporate for about 30 years, and probably around 4 years prior to me retiring in corporate, I just started to think about, I don't really know if I'm going to be able to do this until 60-ish, which is what I originally thought. And my mind started to shift into, this isn't really, it had its purpose, right? But it's not really serving me anymore. And I
Yeah.
really don't want to go through life being miserable because we spend a lot of time at work. We spend time with the people at work more than we do our families. So we really have to love it in order to, get up every day with, you know, momentum and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. So, I really just started to think, I want to do something more creative. I want to do something where I'm actually empowering women. One of the things that I really loved about my corporate career, especially towards the end, was leading and managing my teams and mentoring the young women coming up in the corporate world because we as women see a lot of different things throughout our careers, right? There's a lot of things that we have to navigate and things like that. So I always loved supporting the younger women and giving them tips, and they would come to me with, I have this situation, maybe they're not getting along with someone, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And I just loved giving them advice and sharing my failures with them. And if I had, basically, if I had to do it over, this is how I would handle it, and this is how I would recommend, knowing what I know now. This is my advice to you on how to handle a certain situation or things like that. So I love that. So right when we were going down into lockdown in the whole, kind of COVID era, that's when I pulled the band-aid, ripped the band-aid off, and I gave my notice. And it was a perfect time. It was almost like
Mhm.
something in me was like, the world is changing,
Yeah.
change is coming. We're not going to be the same after this. We're
Right.
definitely different in it. No one in our lifetime has ever seen anything like this. So I'm like, you know what? This is the perfect time to
Mm.
sort of cut the ties. So that's what I did. And then I used that time when we were in lockdown to get my certifications in both life and style coaching and
Oh,
basically start my business. So it was perfect timing.
yeah. That was a great push for some people who are really able to, I think, have still within that have this positive futuristic outlook within
Mhm.
the unknown during that
Right.
time. So that was a very bold decision I feel like you made, and having a lot of faith within that because I talked to a lot of people, and some people made the transition during that time, but I think some people kind of hung out for a little bit. They're like, I'm not so sure what's going to happen. Are we all going to die?
Right,
Like,
right,
what's
right.
really going to happen? So I don't really want to move. And I think so many people were frozen.
Yeah.
And so for those who actually chose to take steps right in the time and not wait until after where it felt safe, is pretty cool. So we're going to go to a quick commercial, and then I want to go over a little bit about, what other steps that you can take to regain control over your life. So, we'll talk about that when we come back. Okay, so we're back. And yeah, I really want to talk about, out of that experience that you had and really making the forward movements out of COVID, what steps would you suggest to have that forward movement during change?
Yeah, I would say just trust your gut, intuition. We've heard it before, but it really is true. And that was very prevalent during this time for me. There was just something in my gut that was telling me,
Mm,
even though it was scary, I was doing this in a crazy time in our lives. Something was telling me that, this is the right time to, as I said, rip the band-aid off and kind of go into the next season of my life. So I would say trust your intuition, trust your gut. Um, also, so many times we get, sort of comfortable, right? And, you know, although we have hopes and dreams and we want to do this and that, if we haven't done that, right, and we've kind of followed what society and what others have told us we should be doing,
mm,
um, again, it takes a very, like you said, it is a bold move to kind of step away from that, not knowing what was going to happen. So even though, it seems, and it was, a confident move for me to retire at that time, I had no idea what was going to happen on the other side. So sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith,
yeah.
um, and just trust, and know that there's support out there for you. That you don't have to, even though you're making this big bold decision, there's others out there to support you along the way, and seek out those people that are going to support you because you'll need it.
Yeah. So what would you say are good tactics or advice for those who, choose to make that bold step and they choose to make this big decision and this leap of faith, how to keep control of that, and stay on that same path without, being like, I just don't know if this is a good idea. And they retract.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say, being an entrepreneur is 1,000 times harder than being in a high level corporate job. I mean,
Mm,
I thought it was difficult, being a director in a male dominated field, and et cetera, et cetera. Being an entrepreneur is, you know, hard. But we do it for a reason. We have a purpose, we have our mission, figuring out who we want to serve and why we want to serve them, right? Staying close to that and reminding yourself when the times do get hard why you did this in the first place, and all of the people that you are helping kind of gives you that little push when you're ready to just throw in the towel because, oh my gosh, this isn't working. I'm launching this or that, and nobody's signing up, or whatever the case may be. And I don't care how successful you are. I mean, I'm early in my entrepreneurship, so my business isn't anywhere near what I envision it to be, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. But you're going to have successes and you're going to have failures, but those failures are your teachable moments. So pay attention to when things fail, because that is even more important than what brought you whatever success you're going to have.
Oh, that's brilliantly said. I think I couldn't agree with you more to pay attention to the failures because there's so many lessons in those. And I want to wrap it around again, to the relationship between our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, and You really did take this leap. And now how you show up. So going into this is really exciting. And because I want to talk a lot about how you run your business and the reason you went this direction because you went into how we show up and into
Mhm.
dress. So I would love to know a little bit about that. What made you decide to go into, how we look and how you present yourself?
Yeah, so before I went into corporate, I had dreams of going into fashion. I actually started out in college, getting a fashion degree, and I wanted to. I'm on the East Coast, so I'm close to New York City, and I wanted to go to New York City and get a big girl job at a big department store. I wanted to be a buyer
Mm,
in a fancy department store. Life, has pivots, as we know. So I didn't end up doing that. But I've always stayed interested and sort of connected in various different ways to that industry. So
mm,
while I had my corporate job and I was kind of, working my way down that path, I was also staying in tune with what was going on in the fashion world. And as a child, I'm the youngest of four, and I have three older brothers. So I'm the only girl in the
wow.
family. Yes, but one thing my mother always, one memory I have of the two of us is she would get her Vogue magazine every month, and she and I would sit down on the couch and we would
Aw.
look at the magazine together. So, and I came from very blue collar upbringing, not affluent at all. But my mother, once I became a teenager, would take me to New York City. That was probably, my first experience of New York. And she would take me into Saks Fifth Avenue and Bergdorf Goodman's and all these
Mm,
fancy
wow.
stores. Now, my mom is a great seamstress. It wasn't what she did for her job, but it's what she did for her kind of hobby, or that's what kind of calmed her. So she made a lot of her own clothes and a lot of my clothes when I was a little girl. So when we would go into these stores, she would basically turn the clothes. She would embarrass me, to be honest, but she would take the clothes and she would turn them inside out and explain to me how they were made,
Oh,
look at
wow.
this detail and look at that detail. And so I grew up with this appreciation for how things are made, for the finer things, this
Mhm.
fabric versus that fabric, this
Mm.
store versus that store. And my mom always said to me that she did that because she wanted me to realize that there were options out there for me in life,
Oh,
that
yeah.
I didn't have to stay in my small little world that we grew up in, that there was a big world out there. So as an adult now, of course, I greatly appreciate that, but I've always had this sort of taste for it's not even about money. It's about a certain lifestyle, like
Mm.
fresh flowers on your table, um, lighting a candle, just different things that you can do in your environment that sort of up
Mm.
levels your life. And then when I got into corporate, I always like to get dressed up. Again, I love fashion. So I was always probably overdressed at work, especially, oh my gosh, when we went to business casual, I was like, "I don't even know what that means." I had, like, a panic moment, because 'cause I'm like, "What does that mean?" Like, I don't know what that means because I was wearing the suits and the
Mhm.
dresses and the heels and, the full makeup, which I love. That's, was kind of like my armor. Um, so when we went business casual, some went to the extreme, where I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, do they even look in the mirror before they leave the house? They look like they just woke up."
Uh-huh.
Um, but I
Or
st I
or
s
or what I like to call, wall Martians. Is that
yeah.
okay to say on
Yeah.
with such a large audience?
Yes. Yes, exactly, exactly. But,
Yeah.
and I did scale it back a little bit, but I still wore the heels. Maybe was wearing dress pants and a, nice blouse instead of a suit or a, fancy dress or anything like that. But I realized that I was not going to change who I was and what made me feel good just because the dress code changed.
Yeah.
I sort of have always known, again, through my upbringing, through my training in fashion and all of that, I just always knew what I liked and what made me feel good, and I never shied away from that to to fit into any kind of societal mold.
I think you have absolutely stepped into something that you are obviously very passionate about, and I think thank you so much for sharing your story about your mother in showing you an appreciation of and differences of things,
Mhm,
and giving you this bigger picture of possibilities that you don't have to stay, in maybe a lower
mhm,
aspect. There's bigger, better things. There's differences, and I think that's really cool. And what I
mhm,
loved, especially, was how you talked about that the way that you dressed was your armor.
mhm,
What a cool way to think of it, and it makes so much sense. I think that we humans have to, like, it's nice to have those little things where we can show up more confidently, whatever that may be. I use that example for, when I was in law enforcement, when we put on that uniform, we were
mhm.
and that badge, we were a different person. That was our armor,
Right,
and then you or like when you do the Superman pose, it's a similar thing, but it's just putting yourself into this, a different state of being and how you want to
right.
show up.
Especially when I was, like, coming up in corporate, it can be very intimidating when
Yeah.
you're in that environment, and I was young when I entered into corporate, but how I dressed made me feel more confident than I really was. So, again,
Mhm.
going back to that mindset, in my mind, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is,
Yeah.
a lot," all the things that were going through my mind, but I knew I looked confident.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
sometimes just that is what kind of helps you, even when you don't think, you don't feel like you're confident. The way that you dress and the way that you present yourself is giving you that extra little bit of confidence, because that's what people see. You're not even opening your mouth yet. They're just looking at you. And everyone judges. It's just a fact. We're humans, right? So someone looks at you for the first time, they're going to form an opinion about you,
Okay.
which is
I
not
I I
fair,
agree with
but
you.
it's
It's a
life.
human response.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, we're gonna go to another brief commercial, and, when we come back, I'm gonna ask you, why do you feel it's essential to dress up?
Mhm.
All right. So I know we talked a little bit about, and I know that you briefly already have gone over this, but really, why do you feel that it's essential to dress up?
Yeah, I think it's dressing up is a form of self-respect. I believe that is a quote from Tom Ford, one of my favorite designers.
Mm,
So really, it is respecting you. It starts with you, right? So you don't want to dress up for anybody else. You want to start with you. What makes you feel good? What do you feel comfortable in? What do you feel confident in? And it's a form of self care and self respect. So that's where it starts. And then from there, obviously, it's making a good impression on others, because, again, before you even open your mouth, they're giving you the once over. They're forming an opinion about you. And a lot of that has to do with, you know, are you pulled together? Are you sloppy? Do you look like you just got out of bed? Or do you look like you put a little effort? If someone looks at you that maybe they're just meeting you for the first time, you haven't said anything yet, you're just walking into a room, if you don't look pulled together, then that's going to be a direct reflection on who you are as a person, right? So if, for example, you look like you haven't bathed, and I'm going to be give you an extreme example. But if it looks like you haven't taken a shower in 4 days and your hair's a mess and you haven't taken care of your skin, so maybe your skin is dry and your clothes are wrinkled and you look frumpy, what do you think that person is going to think about you? Right? And, especially if, there's someone who maybe you want to collaborate with or you want to form a partnership with on a professional level, or you're out in the dating world and maybe it's an online, you met them online, so you're meeting for the first time. I mean, what do you think that person is going to think about you if you don't have enough self-respect to look pulled together?
So maybe and turned around the other way in a self-reflection, you know, how is it, when we show up, the way that we show up externally is reflective on our internal. So when we
Oh
talk
yeah.
about our our overall well-being, I think that it may be a direct reflection of that,
Yeah,
and
because if
how
you're
we feel.
yeah, exactly. If you're not showing up, your best, then what does that say about how you feel about yourself?
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that so those are all really great points, and it makes perfect sense that that would be an essential item. So for somebody who's really wanting to, they're already in the new creation stage of their life. They're like, I am done with the old self. I'm coming out into the new self, but they don't exactly know how that is. And I think this is where you come in, Susan. This is where you come into people's lives where they care and they want to show up, in the best way possible and in the most confident way possible, so they feel good because they're ready to show up. So
Right.
they really want to, be able to reflect that now. And so can you tell me, how has dressing up helped you in your life? And I guess maybe I don't even need to go into that question, honestly, because I think you kind of went over that with your mom and how she showed you that, and you did it at work. And so I'm not going to ask you that question. Let me retract. Um, this is a great one. Susan, who is one person who always rocks their outfits and inspires you to dress up even more? Who inspires you?
Ooh, there's so many. Well, like I mentioned before, Tom Ford is one of my favorite designers, and anytime I watch his runway shows, I'm just so inspired. Now, some of his clothes are a little over the top. He's very I love his philosophy and aesthetic on just this beautiful, amazing lifestyle. So
Mm,
I resonate with that, about having a beautiful life, not just dressing up, but like everything around you, trying to make it as beautiful as possible and just surrounding yourself with beauty, going to art museums and, whatever your thing is, just walking through a garden with beautiful flowers. So what inspires me is, anybody walking on the fashion runway, like a Tom Ford show, the women who are just, walking that catwalk and just very confident. Um,
mm.
and it's not just people that inspire me. Like I said, like a garden, like the colors, the texture of the flowers, the different shapes of the petals, artwork. Um, I love, from an art perspective, I love cubism, which is kind of like, uh, I forget the artist's name at the moment, but it's like the little blocks that are all in
Yeah.
different kind of spaces with different
I
colors.
can't recall either, but I can
No, I
picture
can't think of
it.
his name, but things like that inspire me. I love Diane von Furstenberg, and her whole story is amazing, and the wrap dress that she designed that sort of kicked off her career, and she's now like well into her 70s, but just, she designed that wrap dress in the 70s, sort of when we were going into the um, feminine movement. And
Mhm.
she designed that dress as the representation of female empowerment. So I love that. So
Mm.
there's a lot of different things that I've been exposed to in my life that just inspire me. I actually met Tamara Mellon, who was the co-founder. She has since sold it. Was the co-founder of Jimmy Choo Shoes,
Mm. Oh
and
my gosh, you're speaking my language,
uh,
woman.
she now started several years ago. She started her own shoe line called Tamara Mellon. They're amazing
I
shoes.
gotta write this down now.
Highly recommend, and they're not as expensive as Jimmy Choo's, which is nice. But I went early on in my entrepreneurial journey. I started attending conferences just so I could be around women
Yeah.
business owners. And I went to a conference in New York, and that's where I met Tamara. And I sat down and I talked to her for like 15 minutes. She is such a cool chick. She is probably in her late 50s, and she's just got this she wears the wireframe glasses. She's just like a elevated hippie look, but it's very luxurious.
How funny. That
And just
doesn't
the
even sound like it
way,
should go in the same sentence,
oh
but
my gosh,
I
but
feel like you gotta be cool to make the incredible designs that they
oh,
have.
yeah. Yeah, she was amazing, and, I remember saying to her, "I'm a woman of a certain age." I was probably, in my well, I was, like, 56 at the time, and I remember saying to her, "Look, I'm former corporate, I'm on this entrepreneurial journey, I wanna empower women, I want to incorporate fashion, like, but I don't really at this point know what I'm doing, and it's so scary." And she said, "Just do it.
Ah,
Just get in the game."
just get in the
And she
game.
said, "Don't worry about how old you are. You can do it
Mhm.
at you can start anything at any age. It doesn't matter."
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that. I love
she
that
was a
she
cool
said that
lady.
to you.
But
Just
she
do it.
style-wise, she's amazing.
Well, I really love you have such a beautiful, well-rounded perspective on things when it comes to style, and that it's not only um, in your expression of yourself, but it's the expression of your environment. And
Mhm,
so I really appreciate that you bring that up. And because it's not just on, if I dress myself up really well but my surroundings are a nightmare, like where's the balance in that? So I really like that, and seeing the beauty in your surroundings and in nature. It's really
mhm.
cool.
Yeah, like my office has to be organized, and I mean, it's not always perfect, but your physical space, it has a lot to do with your energy and your where you are mentally. So in order to be creative and productive,
Mm.
I need to have a nice sort of area to work.
So
So
is that
all of that makes a difference.
Yeah, and does that come up in the way that you coach people, I would imagine? I mean, do you go
Oh,
in
yeah,
detail with
yeah.
all of those?
Yeah, I
That's
always
really,
say
really cool.
clear the clutter, clear your mind.
Yeah, clear the clutter, clear your mind. All right. Well, we're gonna go into another break, another commercial, and we're gonna learn a little bit more about you and about the services that you provide. And I'm sure that our listeners are gonna be excited to hear it.
I used to have a talk show. That one talk show catapulted me to another level. Now there are more people watching the internet, as you are aware, than television. Come
Yes.
on, somebody.
That's
And
right.
Dr. Kim Jacobs, she trained people on how to have their own talk show. She will train you how to do that. And now, with me working, partnering with her, now you have the combination of an audience, expansive audience. We have over 4 million people in all of our platforms, and the coaching you need to grow your business, to grow your multi level marketing organization, to draw more attention to yourself in this noisy economy. Go ahead, Kim.
So in the training that I do, Les, I actually do a 6-week training. It's 1 hour per week. And each week I meet with the individuals one-on-one. We go through and we talk about all of the things that's necessary for a show to become a reality. We go from how to actually identify your focus area, what's going to be your ideal customer that's going to be tuning in. We'll talk about how to get guests, how to get sponsorship, how to go about getting your lighting, your branding, and your banners, and everything that you need to know. And guess what, Les? They own their own content at the end of the day.
And that's exciting. Now, if you're ready to create a shift in your business and in your life and increase your cash flow, I want you to go to kimjacobsconsulting.com. It's right there on the screen, kimjacobsconsulting.com. You know, people say opportunity knocks on every door. Right. No. Opportunity stands by silently waiting for you to recognize it. So I want you to recognize that this is a time for you. This is an incredible time to have your own talk show. It establishes a level of credibility.
Yes.
And by being exposed to people on a regular basis, it allows you to strategically begin to impact and attract your audience. She can take you in a place in yourself that you can't go by yourself. So go to kimjacobsconsulting.com. That's kimjacobsconsulting.com. Did I say kimjacobsconsulting.com? Yes, you did. Very good. Make sure you go there and sign up for the coaching, and we're looking forward to working with you. You have something special. You have greatness within you. That's my story, and that's Kim's story, and we're sticking to it. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right. Kim is wonderful. Susan and I both are very close to Kim. We all met at the same time. And yesterday I had the pleasure of having Carmel on the show as well. So it's just, we've got this really great powerhouse of women and friendship within that. So
Yeah.
we are here for you, and we're
sure.
a powerhouse. So I want to share, I love that you filled out my questionnaire here about a fun fact, fun hobby, fun food, bucket list, something unique about you. And your answer is that I'm a big music fan. And while I love all kinds of music, I like certain rap artists like Kendrick Lamar, who share his successes and challenges through his lyrics. I love it when someone uses an artistic outlet to heal. And, you know, learning more about you, it's very fitting to hear this about you. I mean, as much as you appreciate, you know, the arts and your surroundings, so it would make sense then that you also have an ear for sound and what you hear.
Yes, yes, and I do. I like artists that have a story to tell. That, you know, heal their pain through their music, sharing their stories. I think, you know, gosh, what a great way, you know, to really reflect on, you know, different things that the artist has done and kind of has come around. So yeah, I'm very attracted to that kind of music, storytelling per se.
Yeah. And I want to find out a little bit more about the services that you offer. I want to, you know, highlight that here shown on, if you're watching this, you know, with your eyes, and you can see Susan's, you know, website and connect with her there and find out more. It's a beautiful website. I was checking it out a couple days ago, and I'm like, wow. And again, how fitting, and so it really shows how you show up and how you serve others and really what they're going to get from you. And also, it's the information is always in the description link. But Susan, can you tell me a little bit about your services, or tell the audience?
Sure. So, Lifestyle by Susan is a lifestyle management firm. And as you've heard, I'm really about all aspects of your life, particularly if you're in a phase where maybe you're stuck, you want more out of life, but you just don't know where to go. And typically, my clients are women, usually from 45 on, because at that part of your life, you're really going through a lot of transformations and a lot of transitions. Maybe you're empty nesters. Maybe you are going through a divorce. Most women go through divorce between the ages of 45 and 55. I was a little earlier than that. I was around 41 when that happened to me. But, sometimes women just want, they're like tired of. Let me explain to you this way. As women, we spend a lot of time in our lives, especially early on, taking care of others. Maybe we have a family, or maybe we have family members that we're taking care of, or we're always there for our girlfriends, when they need a shoulder to cry on. And I think something hits us when we reach that, kind of 45 plus age, where it's like, now's my time. I want to start,
Mhm.
doing things for me. Maybe it's finding love. Maybe it's changing careers. Maybe it's thinking about starting your own business. All of those different things. So that's usually where my clients that's, sort of where they sit in that phase of their life. And then what I do is through my life coaching skills, I first and foremost got to get the mind right. So we work on shifting mentally from the old place of constantly taking care of others, never putting themselves first, to yes, I deserve it. Yes, it's now my time, and feeling comfortable, because I think another thing women feel uncomfortable about is putting themselves first, because we're so used to taking care of others. And that is not something that you just flip a switch and your mind is like, okay, now it's my time. We've got all kinds of baggage and things that we carry that makes that transition, that mindset transition, difficult. So we start there. From there, it's okay. You're starting to feel a little more confident. You're getting comfortable with putting yourself first. What do you want to do now? What is your legacy? What is your purpose? What do you want to do? So we start working in that phase. And then once we get through that phase, then it's all right, you're ready to take the world by storm. You know what you want, you're worth it, you know how to manage your mind, because that's an everyday task. And now it's, how do you physically want to present yourself as the new Susan Salter or April Chavez? It's how do you want to present yourself as this new, I'm ready to take on the world person. So then we start working. That's where the fashion comes in, and what kind of environment do you want to be in, those types of things. So it is really a, cocoon to a butterfly process.
What I like to say often, and especially recently, as I've gone through, yet another transition, as change is constant. I like to say that we're constantly reinventing ourselves, and to not be afraid of that. Even I was listening to a Tony Robbins thing, and he brings it up as well, is that, so much of our identity is these belief systems that we have. And I don't think people understand, not a lot of us do, is that that can change. We can change our belief systems. We don't
Absolutely.
have to be this certain identity and show up a certain way. And so we're always reinventing, and I think that's so lovely. Susan, I did bring up your website. Would you like me to show it and share the screen?
Yeah, sure. That would be great.
Okay. There we go. Okay, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to just have you guide me. Let's see. There we go. Now I can see. But like, I think that you can just guide me through what you want me to. I know that you shared one picture, but I just want to show everybody this beautiful layout. And I love how the styles that you're showing up in and how confident you look. It's just a lovely, lovely layout. And
Yeah. So my three real pillars of my business is life coaching, the personal styling, and then this luxury concierge service. And that's the newest part of my business. The luxury
Yes.
concierge service is really about so thinking about the cocoon to the butterfly. Once you are, you've transformed, and any kind of woman that's in maybe a high power situation where there are movers and they're shakers, they're active in their community, they have high powered jobs, a lot of times they need help managing their life. A lot of people get coaches to help them with running their business, or an executive coach if they're, a C-suite level corporate woman, but managing their day to day and guiding them through those aspects, there's not a whole lot of support there. So that's what I help these high, movers and shakers, women do. And that could be personal shopping. Maybe they have their eye on a rare handbag that they want, or they have a gift that they need to get and they really want it to be something special. So I can help source that. Also, creating beautiful spaces. And we talked about clearing the clutter.
Yeah.
Part of my service is also doing that. And then starting next year, I'm going to be doing women retreats.
Yeah, I see that. I was seeing the mastermind retreats. Wow.
Yeah, so really bringing women together in a beautiful place where you can take time for yourself, right? And as women, the group of women are going to share stories, share their successes, their failures, get some feedback from the ladies in the group, and really just take the time to break bread with other amazing women and learn from each other and just spend time luxuriating and taking care of yourself.
Yes. I know that. I don't know. Is it on your site? I remember that you told me, I thought that you said it was on your site, but you just recently had an experience interacting with Oprah.
Yes, yes. So I'm part of the Oprah Daily membership because I really like Oprah. I like what, she, stands for, and, all the help that she has given many people throughout their lives. And they do a live class. It's like a class. She calls it a classroom once a month, and there's a certain subject. And the subject 1 month was how to live a life of service. And through past experience with my son, who was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's disease when he was 10 years old, I got very involved in pediatric oncology and still very active in pediatric oncology. So when they were looking for participants to come to the live show, virtual show. I filled out a form. Long story short, they interviewed me, and I was one of the people selected. So it was a very cool experience. Oprah was there. And I think there were 5 of us sort of on the panel, and we all just talked about what living a life of service meant to us, how we got involved, how it's changed our lives, how do we incorporate living a life of service, into every aspect of our lives. So when my son was sick, I remember, kind of just saying, look, whether he lives or dies, I will always give back to this community, because they really do become like family.
Yeah.
And he's 34. He's doing well.
Great.
Yeah. So
That's great.
that was a great experience.
What was your biggest takeaway out of that experience?
I think it was just, there's so many, looking back at the other people who were participating, there's just so many people in the world that we don't even know about that are doing amazing things and impacting so many lives. It was just great.
That's wonderful. And you have written a book, or you've been in, was it your own book?
No, I participated. I'm one of the co-authors.
Great. Okay. So you are a co-author in a book titled Life Boosts, Volume 4, and that your chapter is titled Snap Out of It. Can you talk to us a little bit about that chapter that you wrote?
Yeah, sure. So my chapter is called Snap Out of It, how to stop self-sabotaging yourself. And a lot of the concept of that chapter that I wrote is really about what we've been talking about, particularly around the mindset stuff. If you let those negative thoughts just keep festering and festering and festering, what you're really doing is self-sabotaging yourself. Right. So forget anybody external who could have a negative impact on you. A lot of times we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Right. And if we allow that self-doubt and that negative talk to overtake us, we're going to be stuck. We're not going to get anywhere. We're going to sit in that kind of cycle of negative thinking, and we're not going to break through and do the amazing things that we were put on this earth to do. So my whole chapter was about how to break through that whole self-sabotage stage. And again, it's about starting with the mindset, doing the mindset, the thought downloads, and showing up as your best self, even when you don't feel like it, even when you get up in the morning and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to put any makeup on. I mean, granted, there's days, trust me, where there's no makeup, I'm in, sweatpants and I'm just lounging. It's my day just to lounge around or whatever. But for the most part, I would say 6 out of 7 days, I get up, I do my hair, I get dressed, I put my makeup on, and it just definitely has a difference in how I show up in every aspect of my day.
Yeah. And I was going to bring the audience back to that reminder of what do you call it again? Where you download the mental download?
The thought download.
Yeah. The thought download. And, it reminds me too of how, you want to just get ready and prepare yourself, wash your face, put some, good clothes on and your makeup or what have you. It reminds me of even making the bed and how just those little things continuously each day makes such a huge difference. So listen, Susan, thank you so much. I mean, you've been so wonderful. I've learned some things today. You've got really great advice and wisdom. I'd love to know, is there a way that we can get a copy of your book?
Yeah, I have a link. What I would recommend is that you send me an email. The book is kind of hot off the presses, so I don't have everything set up yet to
Oh, I love
send
that.
the
Can you show it again?
send the link.
Can you show it?
Yes.
There it
Mhm.
is.
There it is.
That's a good looking book. I like it. It's very
Yeah,
clean.
thank you. And there's so many other great people who contributed to this book. There's all kinds of topics that will definitely boost your life. So,
So
it's
how do we
well,
email you? Is that through your website?
actually, if you could send it to Susan at lifestyledbysusan.com.
Okay. And you know what? I'm going to drop that in the description. So I want all of our audience to know that every time I have a guest on, I put their contact information in whatever form that they prefer into the description. And Susan, thank you again so much. Is there anything else that you would love to share with our audience while we close?
Yeah, no, just stay positive, get up, do your thing, and get dressed.
And get dressed. Oh, I love that. Well, I also want to remind our viewers that the Wellness Driven Life Show is here because of all of your beautiful, wonderful donations, all of your support. We are so, so grateful. This helps us continue to bring this to the whole world and to have wonderful guests on sharing their words, advice, wisdoms, and powerful stories. You can invest in the Wellness Driven Life Show once weekly, monthly, or even annually. The information is down below and it's also in the description. And you can visit the website, the Wellness Driven Life show.com, and in that, when you donate through that website, you get a beautiful email that you can save for your records. So without further ado, thank you so much for those who showed. If you want to drop comments in the section after the fact, if you just so happen to be watching the replay, and we will get back to you in the future. So thanks again, everybody, and have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow.